I'm sure you guys heard, but Jimmy Kimmel got fired.
Yeah, I know, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
Did you guys actually see what he said?
Yes.
I did.
Well, I'm gonna play it real fast, just so because I think I heard it once.
Well, see,
What
I've
did it
never
happen?
seen the video of what he said. I've only seen the dialogue
Yeah.
posted.
We've not seen the tone
go
and
ahead.
everything.
So I
Yeah.
get the gain here.
Put this mic. This is a
Adjust
universal
it.
mic.
This will hear it.
Shoot.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
Is that like
I'm still trying to figure out.
Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend.
Oh,
Again,
that's
here-
probably
That's what did it?
That was probably what did it at the end there.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. That doesn't make sense. So
No, I think that. Not sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I
You're
think that what I heard without seeing that before was that the fact that he was saying all the MAGA people were trying their best to distance themselves from it, and like it wasn't us, it was the left. It was the guy on the left that did it.
that's the biggest problem that they have. That's a mistake they make. Is when something tragic like that happens, politics has drained into everything. Obviously, now you can't argue that Charlie Kirk wasn't a conservative because that's exactly what he said he was. He preached all the
He made that
Christian
very well
values,
known.
Yeah.
conservative values.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it goes both ways, right? So he got pulled off the air for something he said, which within itself is cancel culture. You can't have freedom of speech and not like the outcome
Well,
of that.
isn't it what they say, fascism?
Yeah, you can't do
prevention
that.
of
So
ideas?
I understand why the right winged people would be upset at that, but at the same time, you can't be doing that because at the end of the day, that's the government directly being involved in the cancellation of something because of something someone said. You can't do that.
Well, just from a legal standpoint, it's messy because obviously ABC and Disney own the Jimmy Kimmel Show.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're a private company. They can hire, fire pretty much however they want as long as they're not breaking any discriminatory rules.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about something that Jimmy Kimmel said. It gets messy because the government issues those FCC licenses saying you can broadcast.
Yeah.
So it gets messy if the Trump administration has maybe put pressure on Disney saying do something about Jimmy Kimmel, or you can't air your stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what happened, but it's just it happened so fast. And there's so much money involved with the Jimmy Kimmel Show that there has to be something like that going on.
It's something that I was telling him. I was like, late night television, I feel like it's grasping at straws to even stay relevant at this point. I can't name the last time you sit down to watch the Jimmy Kimmel Show.
I
No,
watch
no one
Jimmy
does.
Kimmel all the time, though.
I watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, the
I like-
clips, but I mean like on air broadcast.
Yeah.
Well, you got to understand. See, I'm a comedian, so
Yeah.
coming from my perspective, I understand that it might be a little bit too soon to be making jokes about it. But at the end of the day, he's an entertainer, you know.
And the joke I wanted,
And just like you said, to stay relevant, it was the most relevant thing that happened.
it was something to poke at to see what happened, and apparently it got him canceled.
But at the end of the day, he was kind of mocking Donald Trump for not being, sensitive enough to the topic.
I wonder. I can't help but wonder if, because I know sometimes they do. Was that like a real press conference, or was that like added in? Like, was that like a real? Was that real?
Yeah.
He gives press conferences all the time. What he does is on his way to the helicopter,
Yeah.
he'll like stop for the helicopter and be like, answer questions. It's kind of wheeling and dealing. But
Now, at
Well,
the
maybe he
same
wanted to
time, I do
change-
understand that Charlie Kirk was a very important person to Donald Trump,
Yeah.
and we all grieve in our own ways, So maybe he just doesn't want to talk about it.
Well,
Maybe he
especially
doesn't
with
want
it
to make
being
a.
a open case that hasn't been fully investigated yet.
yeah, we don't know the motives yet.
We don't know everything, so it's probably the best to steer away from that conversation.
Like I said, people see politics. When you take politics into something,
Yep.
it's like all the humanity leaves out of it for everything.
It becomes systematic.
Yeah, it's just if something goes. For example, we live in Waynesburg. You live in Corbin, if something blew up in Corbin, let's say a building just fucking exploded, somehow politics would be brought into that.
In 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even 2 hours. I'd say the first post made about it would be someone would blame either a crazy Democrat or a
gun toting Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Are you guys surprised that the show got pulled off the air?
I'm very surprised.
Shocked.
Yeah.
I want to say I'd been seeing stuff about how a lot of these like I said, nobody's watching late night network television. A lot of people have been saying that he was due to be canceled anyway. Like a lot of these shows were getting ready to be pulled.
They're expensive to produce, and you got to pay these hosts millions of dollars
flying
a year.
the guests
But
out.
my
the
question
writers.
is, with that, a lot of people spout nonsense like that all the time without any kind of factual statistics to back up what they're saying. Does anybody even know what the ratings for Jimmy Kimmel were?
I can look them up.
I bet they get better ratings on YouTube
Yeah.
than they do.
Because people don't take into consideration, sure, maybe network television
Look, that's
isn't
the
doing
thing
it.
is they could film it and make it just something that doesn't air on that network platform. Why can't he could do it online, just like he's doing with his YouTube channel. That's what I'm trying to say is network television's dying anyway. What if this was just a way to go, well, let's save a few $1 billion a year.
Network television is dying. I will give it that. But at the same time, you can't just look over something like this. Well, it was going anyway. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm going to look it up by year, his ratings.
But Tara's your point that maybe this was just an easy out.
I'm wondering
could be an easy
if
out.
it wasn't the network trying to create a narrative to be like, well, people were mad, so we're going to take it down.
Oh, so you're saying that they were looking for a reason to get rid of them anyway.
And just
See, that
blame
would make-
politics.
Yeah.
Because it's the easiest way to go ahead and be like, the show's already...
Well, James Corden got canceled because it got too expensive.
Yeah.
Stephen Colbert is getting canceled in May because of what reasons. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's money.
Yeah.
Here's ratings from Late Nighter. You can read those.
Okay, let's take a look.
And there's a graph. YouTube analytics, like y'all are saying, probably are astronomically just
Yeah, the
doing pretty
ratings aren't
good.
that good. They continuously drop by...
And that's not just Jimmy Kimmel. That's Late Night
Yeah,
with Jimmy
in general.
Fallon.
But my question is see, don't confuse poor network television ratings because that's network television.
Yeah.
Are you taking into consideration social media? Because a lot of these network televisions are going to social media.
Every single one of them
Yeah.
are posting clips, and John Oliver
Yes.
on HBO posts his entire show every
Yes.
week on YouTube.
I'm trying to say, what if it was canceled on there, but it'll just come back online?
Well, so
I mean,
I asked if you guys were shocked. What was your first knee-jerk reaction when you heard that the show was pulled?
I want to know what he said. That was immediately.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
always
Another
us. though.
knee jerk for me is I'm a comedian, so with comedy there's always controversy. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what the situation is. Comedy will always find itself into everything. And my reaction is what if this starts affecting comedy itself,
Yeah.
like SNL and I wish it was still around, Mad TV.
Yeah.
Programs like that, it would directly, so SNL would have to tiptoe around what they joke about and what they say.
Well, as comedians too, if like he just said, Mad TV's not around anymore. In Living Color, grew up watching that. Gone. Hee haw, gone. SNL's the only live skit comedy show that's widely nationally known.
Wise Kids, You Know.
That was another
Yeah,
one.
see, yeah.
Those were some, brilliant writers, and there was hit and miss. I mean, it's going to happen. SNL's had hit and miss, but
See,
comedy has kind of.
My
fallen
question
back in the last
is,
10 years.
if George Carlin was still alive,
That's
would
his
he
man.
be broadcasted on network television?
Absolutely not.
Would these late shows, would they have him on as a guest?
No.
Why?
Comedy has become shrouded in like a cocoon of it has to be plush, soft, and non-offensive. And that's why comedy movies aren't getting made. Like you watch movies from even we watched, what was it? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from 2005
Yeah.
or 6 with Johnny Depp in it. And the language and stuff and the depictions, they couldn't even made that movie a kids movie today.
Did you guys see Dave Portnoy's response to Jimmy Kimmel getting fired?
No, what did he say?
It was an interesting take, and I liked it. But I disagree with it, but I liked it. I thought it was very fair.
Yeah.
He said cancel culture is when you dig up something from 20 years ago when times were different, and then using that today to try to get somebody fired or,
Okay.
or canceled. He said
Yeah.
that's cancel culture. What happened with Jimmy Kimmel is something that happened in real time, and him seeing the consequences of that in real time. So he's saying that's not cancel culture. That's just consequences that go along with your actions.
Well, see, when it comes, I agree.
disagree with that.
I disagree with the
I
statement.
understand what he's saying.
But I understand what he's saying. For example, if you're on a network television, like if I work at Walmart, right, I have the freedom of speech to go in there and say whatever I want. But Walmart's not going to keep me around if they don't like what I have to say.
Yeah.
Same thing with, that's the reason these independent journalists can get away with saying things, because who's going to fire them?
And that's why my first gut reaction was a little bit shocked but and angry, because I do think it's an attack on
Free speech.
free speech.
I do too.
Yeah.
Because it's not like the government's not completely. This is not completely a private decision. The government does give these companies the right to broadcast.
Yep.
Even though the government didn't do it directly, that was what was kind of angered me. I'm not a big Jimmy Kimmel fan generally. I watch his clips on YouTube sometimes, but he wears me out because it's 90% Trump stuff. There is other stuff going on, and he's not the only one. Stephen Colbert, all those guys, it's 9% Trump, and I'd like to wake up and
Grasping at straws instead of just making comedy.
it's low hanging
just-
fruit.
Yeah, that's there's no real strive for something new in the world of late night or
Kind of makes you wonder, what are they going to do when Donald Trump isn't the president anymore?
They still, whenever he wasn't and he was going to run again, without an option though, I do wonder.
He was in the news still every day, I felt like.
Yeah.
I mean, he was rallying, and he was still being.
They were still
relevant.
shining a big old spotlight on him. and
Politics have ruined
it's
entertainment. Ruined it.
I don't think it's any different than it ever was. I just think that there's so much more
Accessibility.
information out there.
Well,
Visibility.
you're probably right. It probably isn't any different than it used to be. But however, with social media and all this stuff, I call it political propaganda. That's
Yeah.
all it is. Political propaganda that people fall into, and these late night television people and these comedians, they all attack it. And then when they make a joke about it, they get attacked for making a joke about it, because then someone puts them in a category, and if you're in the wrong category, you're a bad person. That's all it is. That's my take on it. I don't like the government. I think that everything that happens in the government happens for a reason. Whoever they want in the White House is going to be there. People have this illusion that, Kamala Harris could have won. No, she couldn't have.
It's all predetermined.
The people that wanted Kamala Harris in the White House, well, they'll put her there. So when people ask me my political opinions on things and why I think it's right or wrong when it comes to the government directly affecting things, it's because I believe they do. The government has a play in everything. If you don't believe me, go ahead. Go on social media and make a controversial political statement. See how much reach it gets. It'll either get a lot of reach because of the controversy behind it, or it won't get any reach because they don't want anybody to hear what you have to say.
Yep.
And you guys don't have to answer this if you don't want, because we didn't go in with a plan on this.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just
Should the show come back?
Yes.
yeah.
Independently.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to
that's
see
a take.
Yeah. I think it should come back independently.
also if he comes
Like,
back
Tucker
independently.
Carlson.
Yes.
If he comes back independently, I would like to see if his comedy improves, because if he doesn't have
I'm
a
not
network
saying, don't get
pushing
it
him-
twisted. I am not saying that Jimmy Kimmel is good at what he does. I'm not
Yeah.
taking his side on it. I enjoy his stuff. Like, I like his little clips. Now, watching his whole show, probably not mine. But at the end of the day, he's still just practicing his First Amendment right.
Exactly.
So if he's that dedicated to it, he'll come back independently with his own show. And if he thinks his fan base was big enough to support it, he'll do it.
Tucker Carlson did it effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never watched Tucker Carlson. Now, because he's on X, I find myself being a lot more exposed to some of what he has to say.
Yeah.
And it's changed my opinion of him. I used to think he was just, I always thought he was smart, but I always thought he was purposely inflammatory and would say stuff just for the ratings. But now with his long form content on X, I'm finding myself like agreeing with some of the stuff he says, and I never was like that before.
What's that one guy that everybody watches? The one that said that frogs are gay.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, he's hilarious.
That guy is a genius. And
He is.
let me tell you why he's a genius. Because that man knows exactly what to say to either make people laugh really hard or piss people off.
Man.
And no matter which route you go, you're going to get views.
And you're going to look into whatever, like, why did he say that? That's another thing he does, too.
Yeah, he said rain was making frogs gay.
So people looked into that, and then they were like, tetrazine, what is that? Then they were looking into that, and people were like, he ain't as wrong as we thought.
It feels like he just does a bunch of Adderall and just gets in front of a microphone.
I wanted to know where he came from because I was like, who is this guy? Why was he taken down? You know, what did he do? He's done a lot of outlandish stuff.
Yeah,
but he
he has.
started on like non-profit or whatever open access television, and his show back then, insane. The man was like out of his head on cocaine, just like doing the craziest things.
Here's my take on comedy. I keep coming back to this because that's why I watch TV, is for entertainment.
Yeah.
Do you know who Eric Andre is?
Yes.
Yes, he's incredible.
Yeah. If you've never seen it, I want everybody watching this podcast to go watch Bad Trip on Netflix.
It's incredible.
It's funny, it's ridiculous, and it's just these people essentially they go out and they're filming a movie, but everybody else doesn't know they're filming a movie. Kind of like in a Jackass.
Yeah, they're pranking.
It's like Borat
They're pranking
kind
Yeah, Borat.
real
It's
people. Exactly like Borat.
Yes. I love that.
Edgy comedy like that stays around for a while because not a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked Billy if it should come back, and he gave a good answer. But do you think his show should come back?
Yes.
On network television?
Network television is subject, like we said, if it's a contractual thing.
Let me ask you this. Here's a good take on it.
Yes.
If it came back independently, do you think it would be better or worse?
I'm going to,
Be better.
say better.
You know why? I agree with you, and I'll tell you why I think it would be better. He would have less control.
Looming on top.
He would have more control, but there would be less hands on his subject matter.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the advertisers run the show.
Yeah.
The adpocalypse. Anybody remember that? YouTube? That was a big thing. That was
What was
probably
it?
what... Adpocalypse. A bunch of YouTubers had to change what they said. They weren't allowed to cuss within like the first 30 seconds of a video. They had to mark like, is this okay for children to watch? And advertisers were pulling from things.
For me, Tera has seen me do quite a few turn downs to podcasts because what they'll do is they'll say, hey, Bill, you come to this podcast. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And then immediately they'll send me a list of things I can't talk about, things I shouldn't say and all that. And I'm like, no.
You've never once said anything that felt like I had to edit out.
Exactly. But the fact that you want me on there knowing that I'm a very outspoken person, like if people think of me on the internet, they don't think that I'm politically correct. That's not something that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And then you invite me on your show and you're like, well, we got to censor any kind of censorship. I'll say no.
It's also the internet. Why
Yeah.
are you worried?
Yeah.
This is the most tame thing someone's going to see their whole day.
It ties back into probably they have sponsors, and their sponsors have gave them a list. Just like you said, Jimmy Kimmel would probably get better if he didn't have... If he got to pick his sponsors and pick who he worked with versus in network television.
That side I'm starting to understand too. Because I
Yes.
do these big events now, these big parties. And when sponsors say no to me because of the contents of the event, I'm like, I get it. I understand. You wouldn't want to be like... I wouldn't expect a funeral home to be like, let's go. You know?
I mean, this is a really cool funeral home.
Yeah.
But like a daycare. I wouldn't see a daycare sponsoring one
I'm not
going to
say who, but the first event I ever did, I did it in Manchester, and we had a funeral home we asked to the sponsors, and I think the response was, I think they said, hell no. Hell no. They